Hello, Facebook world. Nikki Williams here with Legendary Health, and I am currently in New Zealand in a small town called Tauranga, and I am at a cute little cafe called Elizabeth. I have my chai tea latte in this cute little beaker. So for those of you who don't know my backstory, I am a rep with a health and wellness company called Juice Plus, and I have been a rep for them for about 7 years. So my background is in health, and food for me is a top priority for my family and myself. We are currently traveling the world. My husband and my 2 girls, we sold everything, both of our homes back in Denver, Colorado, and are exploring the world. We've been to Australia twice, New Zealand twice, and we spent 3 months in Hawaii, and we are having a blast. We are so thankful that we get to be on this journey with our girls while they're young. They're 8 and 1, and we were stuck in the hamster wheel back in the States of working the 9 to 5, and my husband, I was fortunate enough to be able to stay home, but my husband was working 40 plus hours a week and never really got to see the girls because our girls like to sleep a lot. Hi, Billy. And so when we made the decision to build our business and make it worldwide and bring my husband home, it was the best decision we could ever make. My daughter actually yesterday, we were listening to a call, and they asked what she was grateful for, and she just blurted out, "I'm so grateful I get to see my daddy every day, all day." And it brought tears to our eyes that we are fortunate enough to be able to do that. So we're very, very thankful for the mission that we are on, and being able to inspire healthy living around the world and be able to inspire others to do the same so that they can take their health back. So as you pop on, okay, so there's a couple people on. We're going to bring Billy on. Billy is going to talk to us about sugar cravings. So for me, sugar is in everything. It's in processed food. It's very, very addictive, and it's hard to get away from. And Billy is going to share with us the impact that it has on our health and give us some tips on how to avoid it or to deal with it when you do get sugar cravings. So let me see. Hopefully I can bring him on with no difficulty. This is such a cool feature. Hi, Billy.
Hi, Nikki. Oh my gosh.
It's so good to see you.
I'm so impressed that I got this to work.
It's awesome, huh?
It's really cool. I like it.
I haven't seen you.
Can you hear me well?
I can hear you good. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. It sounds like there might be a little bit of a lag.
I can hear you well.
Okay, cool. So Billy and I used to be in a networking group together, and we saw each other every week or more than every week for probably 2 or 3 years, and I haven't seen your face in like 7 months, so it's really good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
Awesome. So, Billy, why don't you just share a little bit more about yourself and about your awesome little practice you have. I shouldn't say little, but your practice that you have back in Denver.
Sure. So, I am Billy Quintana, for those of you that I have not met. I am an acupuncturist and practitioner of Chinese medicine. And my practice is located here in Denver, and it's called Vibrant Pearl Acupuncture and Herbs. I don't know if you can read that. and and I've been in practice for just about 5 years. Um, yeah, and I believe I met Nikki. When did I meet you? It's been about like 3 or 4 years, right?
I think it has been.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually got to go. Billy was my acupuncturist while I was pregnant with Harper. Actually, I think she was even before that. Hi, Sherry. It's so good to see you. Oh. Um, so, yeah, I got to. Billy has a really cute office in. What part of town is that called? Like, is it Cherry
So
Creek?
it's South Denver, and it's just south of Cherry Creek in Glendale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
awesome. So, do you what are you specializing in? And can you tell me? I know that you last I heard you were still teaching at the acupuncture school. Is that right?
Yeah. So um, let's see. About 5 days a week, I see patients here in my office, and then also during one of the evenings, I take off and I teach at the Colorado School of Traditional Chinese Medicine. And I teach two of their Western science classes. I teach basic biology as well as basic biochemistry. Yeah, and I enjoy them. It's fun and it's challenging, and it keeps my mind interacting and working between both Western science and Chinese medicine, um, so that way I don't get stuck in either or either world. Yeah.
I like that. That is
Yeah.
awesome. So, how long have you been teaching at the school?
So I have been teaching at the school for I'm going on 4 years. 4 years. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going on just about four
Um,
years. I think I missed you there
so
for a
I'm
second. Did you?
I know. I don't know what's going on. So apparently, Sherry, can you hear me? Apparently, Zane, the audio dropped out. Billy, you can still hear me,
Yeah, I can still hear you.
right? Okay. All right. Well, we're just gonna keep going with it then. So, why did you choose? I know. I think your background was in nursing, right? Is that right?
So my background was in environmental science.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what made you uh, have the shift to go into acupuncture?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's a complex question too. Um, so for me, I originally studied environmental science in college, and Um, I had done a few jobs in environmental science, working for the Forest Service and the BLM, but most oftentimes these positions were temporary positions or seasonal positions. And so I was having trouble finding, I think I'm yelling. I was having,
Oh, yeah.
I was having trouble. Am I okay? Okay.
You're
I was
good.
having trouble. Okay, good. I was having trouble finding a job that would last me all year round. Um, And so I eventually stopped doing environmental science, and I started working for a hospital. And in working for the hospital, I was a nurses station secretary in an emergency room. And I really started to like the health world and the medicine and the medical world. Um, but at the same time, too, I didn't so much like the approach that Western medicine was having, in the sense that oftentimes it's treating symptoms instead of getting to the root of problems, um, and essentially just masking symptoms, if you will. And so I wanted to do much more. I wanted to talk to people about certain muscle groups, or talk to people about, this muscle is tight and this muscle needs some strengthening. Or on the other hand, talk to them about their diets and how their diet may be related to their bowel movements or whatever issue that they're having. So I wanted something more. Um, and I started looking around into alternative medicines, and I found Chinese medicine, and I really fell in love with it. Um, Particularly because in Chinese medicine they talk about the body in terms of elements interacting with each other, and different organ systems interacting with each other, and having that environmental science mindset. It just made sense for me in my mind, it just made sense to think of the body as um, um, in terms of interactions and in terms of multiple facets interacting with each other. And so,
Awesome.
so then I applied for Chinese medicine school, and here we are.
Awesome. I have someone wants to say hi. You say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Harper. Okay, that was it.
Hi, Harper.
So I love how you talk about the whole body and how Western medicine just masks the symptoms. I grew up going to chiropractors and acupuncturists, and it's very true. I also am very thankful for Western medicine because I had scoliosis that was not being fixed by chiropractic and what we were doing, and so I needed to have back surgery. We're not saying that Western medicine doesn't have its place. If I have a broken bone, please don't take me to my chiropractor. Please take me to the hospital to get my bone fixed, right? But and speaking in terms of preventative care, alternative medicine has played a huge part in my life, as well as it sounds like yours as well. I wanted to say hi to Stephanie real quick. And
Yes.
then, so what has been your favorite healing testimony or client so far?
Yeah. So I also wanted to tell you too that I completely agree. Like, Western medicine has its place, and it is very beneficial in a lot of times. So this is by no means saying Western medicine is bad. It's good. It has its place. Yeah. Let's see. So what was the question again? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. What has been your favorite healing testimony or client so far?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see. There was one particular patient that I'm still seeing, and I started seeing her just a little over a year ago. And when she walked in my door, she used to go for bi-weekly. I don't remember if it was bi-weekly or weekly allergy shots, because she used to have severe seasonal allergy. And she had a whole slew of other problems, including digestive issues. And we started looking at her diet, started looking at food allergies, started addressing multiple facets, and yeah, and now I see her about every 2 to 3 weeks, and she is like a completely different person. She hasn't needed an allergy shot. She rarely has digestive upsets. It's amazing. Yeah.
Wow, I bet her life is just totally different. I bet she's so thankful for acupuncture and
Oh,
for you.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I would agree.
so on that note, what has also been your most challenging patient so far?
Yeah. That's another good question. Um, for me, I think it would be, and I've had multiple patients like this, or multiple individuals that have walked in my door, um, and they come in just specifically like for a musculoskeletal issue, like a tight muscle or lower back pain, and and when I'm doing their health history with them, they have a whole slew of other problems going on. And when I ask them, would you like help addressing these other issues? And they say no, or that they're fine, or they're not quite ready to address those issues. I think for me that's the most difficult because I want I want all of my patients to be their best, and I have to just remind myself that we'll get there when they're ready. Um, and so I just kind of have to, you know, bring in the reins a little bit, and when they're ready to address all the other issues, then we can address them. But that's
Right.
probably the hardest for me.
That's yeah, that has to be really hard. I find that as so for me being very food oriented and wanting the best for my friends and family. Um, it's the same way. It's like you want to reach out and just help them fix all their problems. But if someone's not ready, you just have to meet them where they are and, hope by just small, simple changes, just take the next small step. And so I would say for
Hmm.
someone to come and go to the acupuncturist is a pretty big small step. So kudos to them for taking that step to the next health, because acupuncture, I know, like speaking for myself, um, plays a huge part in health. I had some very outstanding results with acupuncture, which I can talk about a little bit later. But
Sure.
so, what do you feel like are the pillars of health, and how does your expertise in acupuncture play a role in that?
Can you repeat that one more time? I'm sorry, I lost you for a second.
That's right. So, what do you feel like are the biggest pillars of leading a healthy lifestyle, and how do you feel like acupuncture plays a role in that?
Yeah, most definitely. Um, so some of the biggest pillars of some healthy lifestyles, um, I would say this sounds very Chinese philosophical answer, but I wholeheartedly agree with it. I would say it would have to be balance in everything. And what I mean by this is it's not necessarily about excluding certain things or um, um, not allowing yourself to do something, but rather making sure that it's in balance with everything else that you're doing. So if you like to work hard and you like to um, go at it strong, whatever it is that you're doing, making sure that you're taking time out of your day to then rest. Um, Making sure that you're providing some sort of balance in your life. If you like to do a lot of mental work, making sure that there's hours or a few minutes out of your day in which you're letting your mind rest. Um, do you see what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah. You're
And
cutting
that
out a little
goes
bit,
for,
but
okay, and that goes for food as well, in the sense that making sure that you have a balanced meal, making sure that there's not too much of one particular type of food that you're eating, making sure that there's a good array of food that you're eating. So I like to think variety and balance as well in a diet. Yeah.
awesome. So how, so I guess acupuncture would be the resting part.
Oh,
And
this is a good question. Yeah, so I didn't answer that part of the question. Yeah. So acupuncture is, let's see, that's a good question. So acupuncture can play um, a good means or provide a good support system as far as preventative as well. So you don't necessarily have to go to an acupuncturist specifically for an ailment. You can use it as a preventative. And the way that it is a preventative, there's multiple things that contribute to it. One of them, of course, is what you were referring to, in that it's a time in which you get to rest and relax and take a few moments out of your day and just rest. Um, the other one is that acupuncture is a great method of stimulating your body's own natural abilities to heal. So, with the actual needling, little micro traumas are occurring throughout your body. And so that sends signals to your body that it's time to rest, digest, and heal. So then your body essentially finds places, problem places, if you will, or places that need attention, and then it can pay attention to those areas and help them heal. Yeah, there's multiple studies that are slowly coming out, and they also include things like regular acupuncture stimulates your immune system, so it helps to boost your immune system and keep your immune system functioning optimally, as well as blood circulation. So with the needling, circulation is stimulated throughout your body, so that way your tissues and your organs receive what they need, right? They're receiving more oxygen, they're receiving more nutrients, and they're allowing their waste to be taken away. Yeah. But um yeah.
awesome. So you mentioned something about the immune system. Um, I I went down that quote unquote rabbit hole. I've been down that several times about learning the immune system. It's so fascinating. 80% of our immune system actually resides in our gut. And so
Yeah.
having good gut health is important, especially in these times where you guys in the United States are having issues with the flu going on right now. It's flu season. So that is a great note. Hi, Dr. Kepi. It's like a BNI reunion on Facebook. Yay! So that is a great thing to note, that acupuncture actually has been proven to help with the immune system. So I love that, because we can all,
Yeah.
from eating all of the processed foods and all of the sugar that so many people eat in the Western diet, our gut really, really does suffer. So this is like the perfect segue into what we were going to talk about. Oh my gosh, it really is a BNI reunion. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Sonia. Hi, Jessica.
Um, so perfect segue into talking about sugar. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, maybe let's start with the negative impacts of sugar that has on our bodies.
Definitely, yeah.
Did I
So
lose you?
before we go there, actually, do you mind if I talk a little bit about the benefits?
Sure.
Can you hear me? Okay, is that
Yep,
okay
you're
if I
good.
talk a little bit
Yeah,
about
let's hear about the
the
benefits.
things? Okay, so
Yeah, for sure.
in Chinese medicine, there's multiple flavors. So we have sweet, sour, salty, bland, so on and so forth, right? So sweet is one of the flavors recognized in Chinese medicine. And all of the flavors contribute beneficially when eaten in moderation or in balance, right? So the sweet flavor is beneficial for us as humans. According to Chinese medicine, it goes to the spleen and pancreas, which is part of the earth system. Um, and so that being said, it helps to nourish us. It helps to nourish us. Um, and then also it promotes ascending and outward dispersing of the qi. So in Chinese medicine, there is this concept of qi, and many people have akined it to energy or translated it as energy, and that's a fairly decent translation. But I like to also sometimes think of it as function as well. So that being said, the sweet flavor helps to promote the function and the vitality, the life force inside of our body. Um, And you can almost think of this in a sense, I use my hands a lot, don't I? You can almost think of this in a sense as in our bloodstream we have glucose, and glucose is the primary sugar that our nervous system and many of our other cells use as a fuel source. And so that being said, that glucose, which is a sugar, and sugar is sweet, provides that vital life source for our cell to be able to thrive, to be able to live and to function. Sugar, or I shouldn't say sugar, the sweet flavor also harmonizes the body and the mind. So I like to think of this in the sense that if you've ever been stressed or anxious and you have a little bit of sweet, maybe a little piece of chocolate or a little date or a little piece of fruit, it just kind of calms your nerves down a little bit and just kind of makes you feel good. It makes you feel nice. Um, in Western science, we have found that eating a little bit of sweet, something sweet, releases dopamine and serotonin. And of course, dopamine being that neurotransmitter that makes us feel good, right? It's the happy uh, neurotransmitter. Another beneficial thing that happens with the sweet flavor when you consume the sweet flavor is that it removes cold. And what this means is that with your cells having adequate fuel, they can then be able to provide or be able to undergo metabolic processes to generate body warmth, right? So you're able to produce that body warmth. Let's see, what else here? The sweet flavor also moistens and lubricates. So I don't know if you guys have you ever had this feeling where you eat something sweet and you all of a sudden all your mucous membranes, especially like in your throat or in your mouth, they get a little bit more mucousy or more slippery, and that's what they're talking about, is that the sweet flavor generates that mucosal coating for your membranes. So the sweet flavor is not a bad thing. It's just something that needs to be in moderation. Yeah.
So
Um,
I'm going to interject here real quick,
yeah.
if you don't mind. So it's interesting that you bring this up. I was at a talk a few months back by a biologist, and she was talking about how breast milk is basically, it's all sugar. It's glucose. That's all it is, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
our babies survive. And so she was talking about how, well, yeah. So after a baby comes off of breast milk, they 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 want fruit because that's what they're used to tasting is sugar. But that is the life force of what what keeps us alive. It's so amazing, and you're right. And it is all sugar. So I thought that was very, very interesting.
Yeah, and in that regard too, they're at a time in their life in which they're growing. They're growing, and so their cells need a whole lot of fuel to be able to grow, to be able to multiply and produce more cells. And it takes a whole lot of energy, and so that sugar is the fuel for all of that work that is being done. Yeah.
Awesome. So then what's the difference between, the good sugar and the processed refined sugar that we're seeing in foods today?
Yes, exactly. And I'm so glad you asked that question because you'll notice that I said sweet flavor, not sugar. And there is a difference. Um, when many of the Chinese medicine texts were written and much of the theory was being developed, and the theory is an evolving thing and it's constantly changing, just like with everything that is alive, it's constantly changing. But much of the theory is from a time period where they didn't have refined and processed sugars. So when they say the sweet flavor, they're talking about the sweet flavor from what you were just referring to, fruits and vegetables. Um, those are the sweet flavors, which is unlike a lot of the things that we think of when we hear the word sweet in our modern day, in which we think of cake, and we think of candy bars, and we think of lollipops. That is not the same thing. Um, Things that were sweet or considered sweet before we had processed sugars, those sweets like and vegetables, a whole bunch of other nutrition as and vitamins. And one of the most, you read well about this, the amount of nutrition in this apple is huge, right? It's uh, unlike a lollipop, sometimes it's just made up of sugar and food dye, has virtually no other nutrition other than just the sugar that's in it. And so that being said, sweet things prior to refined sugar were very nutritious. Sweet things nowadays, they just have the sugar and virtually no other nutrition. Um, there's another thing, there's a big difference. Sweet things prior to refined sugar, and sugar was released into our system and a little bit slow, like fruits and vegetables, they have fiber in them. And that fiber food substance slower as opposed to a right? It's just straight sugar that goes into your digestion and into your bloodstream and not absorbed slower in an apple. Yeah.
So what about sorry, I was looking at Jessica's comment. Oh, I wanted to say hi to Amanda
Yeah.
and Jasmine as well. So what about like a low glycemic food? Is that the same? Is that what you're talking about here?
Very much so, yeah. So things on the low glycemic are those things that have either monosaccharides, so less simple sugars, and so they don't spike your blood sugar quite drastically. Yeah, so it's very similar. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about why do people have that afternoon sugar craving? And what does it
Yeah.
mean?
So, let me see. Okay. Sorry, I have a little bit of notes for me here on the computer. I did, before we move on to that question, I did want to point out that there are multiple sources, so depending upon the source that you look at, you'll notice that during the 1700s, the amount of refined sugar or processed sugar or simple sugars that people had in their diet was about 4 pounds. And now, depending upon what source you look at, the average American is consuming anywhere well into the well over 100 pounds of processed or refined sugar a year. So you can see in just a couple of hundred of years, we've gone from 4 pounds to well over 100. That's a lot of sugar that we're consuming. And that's just an average diet. I think that just boggles my mind. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Pounds.
Crazy.
Yeah. So your question, why? Yeah.
Sorry, I was actually doing research and so you had talked about the dopamine or whatever that gets sparked, right? So they're saying that it's pretty much like as addictive as heroin because of that spark. So when you start eating it more and more and more, then your grandmother was right. You are what you eat, and you start craving it. So not only is it addictive, but the more you eat, the more you crave.
Exactly. Well, it's one of those things where if dopamine makes you feel good, you would want to do it more and more, right? So you get more and more of a dopamine release. So then it becomes addictive because you want more of that good feeling, more of that happy feeling, right? And in that regard too, just like everything else, the more you have it, you start to develop a tolerance for sugar. And so the amount of sugar needed to have a certain amount of dopamine release, the more sugar that you have, the more tolerance you build, and the more sugar is needed for the same amount of dopamine release. And then as you continue to eat more and more sugar, you develop a higher tolerance, so you need just a little bit more sugar to have the same release that you had before you had any tolerance. So before you know it, when you just needed, a couple of sips of a soda, now all of a sudden you need a quarter of a can of soda, a half of a can of soda, and then a full can of soda, and then you need a 6-pack of soda, a liter of soda. So you can see how it can be very easy to fall down the hill when if you include tolerance in there. And so before you know it, you're consuming a liter of soda a day. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
what? I think you had more that you were
Am
going
I
to
too?
say on that.
Yeah. Am I too bright? Do I need to? I think I have the sun shining on me. I look like gold.
Yeah,
Should I?
yeah,
Should I close the window?
sure.
Let me close the window.
That would be, yeah, okay. Well, at least the sun is shining in Denver. That's good. I saw that you guys got a lot of snow recently, which I'll be completely honest, I am not missing the snow. I am really enjoying going to the beach.
Oh, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's beautiful though. The snow is very pretty.
It is pretty, but I'll just look at the pretty from pictures while I'm sitting on the beach.
There you go.
Okay, so I think we got off on like a little bit of a tangent, but um, let's see
I
where
think you
were
had
we?
asked about cravings.
Oh, yeah,
Was that right? I think.
yeah.
So, yeah, so this is a good question. Why would somebody crave sweets? Um, and the first thought that I have is in Chinese medicine, we would call it a qi deficiency. And all this means is that you're lacking in fuel, right? You're lacking in energy, vitality. And we get our vitality from the food that we eat. So sometimes it's as simple as you need to eat more. Um, I have a couple of people that I know that they go all day without eating. And then at the end of the day, they're craving sweets. And I tell them, well, it's because you haven't fueled your body and you've gone through your day without fuel. And your body suddenly says, oh my gosh, we need fuel. And the easiest fuel to absorb are simple sugars, right? Because they go straight through the digestive tract and into the bloodstream, so that way they can bring your blood sugar back up. So first and foremost, craving sugars could be the fact that maybe you're not eating enough. Um, to what you're eating as well, in the sense that maybe you're not eating enough protein and fats. And I did say it. I did say fats. Fats are a good thing. We need fats. Um, Maybe you're not eating enough protein and fats. Protein and fat are slow fueling, if you will. So they are foods that provide your body with energy and fuel slowly. It takes time for your body to digest fats and proteins. So slow releasing fuel source rather than a fast releasing fuel source like sugars are. So it could be the fact that maybe you're not eating enough fats and proteins in your diet, and you need to have less carbohydrates in your diet. That can be a huge contributor to craving sweets. The second thing is that you may be having a lot of stress. I know, who doesn't have stress? No, yeah, stress actually promotes you to crave sweets. I like to think of it in the sense that your body can't interpret physical and mental stress, or it can't differentiate, rather, physical and mental stress, as well as emotional stress. And when you're in a stressful moment, your body goes into flight or fight, right? You want to get away from the bear. You want to get out of harm's way. And so the best way that you can do this is by having that fast and quick fuel source of sugar to get you out of harm's way. So when you're stressed, whether it be physical, mental, or emotional, you're going to crave that sugar to get you out of harm's way. Um, yeah. Uh, in Chinese
It's
medicine,
so
they say the
sick.
sweet flavors. Huh?
So, no,
What did
go
you
ahead,
say?
sorry.
Oh,
You
in
make it
Chinese
sound
medicine,
so simple. I mean, that makes it like, you break it down to, it just makes it sound so simple. Like, oh, well, duh. Like, yeah, I've been stressed and here I am. I mean, it's simple biological of what's going on in my body. I get stressed and I crave sugar. Okay, so now that can be an easy fix. I should say easy fix. Um, but for people who can see that that's a pattern in their body, um, then um, then that then they can find a way to address the stress, and that will get rid of their um, cravings.
exactly. Yes. It's all about knowing, right? It's all about knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in Chinese medicine, the way that they describe this second reason why you would crave sweets, this high stress load, in Chinese medicine, they say that stress creates stagnation, particularly qi stagnation, and this qi stagnation very much disrupts or upsets the earth or the wood, sorry, the wood element inside of you. And when the wood element is upset or unharmonized, it tends to overact on the earth. So you can think about this in the sense of like in nature, whenever you have a plant or or something like that that is growing really rapidly, it tends to suck all the nutrients out of the soil. So that's wood overacting on earth. Um, and so the earth starts to get a little bit depleted. And the thing that nourishes the earth most is sweets, because that's the first place that it goes to, is to the earth system. Yeah. It's a little bit kind of a whole roundabout situation. And to put it simply, sweet flavors soothe, right? They soothe you. And when you're stressed out, you need that soothing sensation. That would be the simplest way to put it in Chinese terms. Yeah. Another reason why you could be craving sweets is because you have a thyroid or adrenal um, uh, malfunction of some kind. So it could be fatigued in some kind. And all that this means is that your body is unable to utilize, right? It's unable to utilize the sugar and the fuel sources that it has available. Um, in Chinese medicine, this would be called like particularly a yang deficiency. And the yang is the thing inside of us that is very fiery like, right? It's very fiery like, and it's kind of like it keeps things moving and going, and it's your spark in your step. But those can be another reason why one would crave sugar. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to go back to when you were talking about not eating enough. So we have a program. It's called the Shred 10, where we teach people, how to feed their body at the cellular level, and not starve yourself so that you can make better decisions. And we talk about with people with eating, you not sustaining your body in having the proper food. So eating a high glycemic food like sugar or candy bar or whatever it may be, that you get that crash after your body has utilized the sugar, and down there is where you make really bad choices, like we were talking about. If you haven't eaten enough, you can also crash as well, and that's where you make those really bad choices. You're like, I need sugar, I need something now, and your body's just telling you to go out and get food. So really being able to sustain your blood sugar within a certain range all through the day. That doesn't mean you have to eat all day, but just being able to sustain your blood sugar through the day so you don't have those dips and make those bad choices eating wise.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. And some of it is being prepared, right? It's like you were saying, um, you can carry a little healthy snack with you because you know that there's going to be a time in your day in which you're going to have a little spell of hunger, So if you carry a little container of nuts, or if you carry a little peanut butter with an apple, and you can apply the peanut butter to your apple, and have a good snack.
That's like the perfect snap: apple and peanut butter, and it's so easy too. And it's
I know.
Your fats, your carbs. That's like the perfect little snack, and the kids love it.
And
too.
it tastes. Yeah, and it tastes good. It's so sweet and delicious. I'm a huge fan that food should taste good. You should enjoy food, right?
It's very true. You should definitely enjoy your food. It shouldn't be a job to, I have to eat again. Definitely, it should be enjoyable for you for sure.
And I'm glad you mentioned, real quick, I'm glad you mentioned the crash that some people get. So this crash, our body has mechanisms, particularly releasing adrenal hormones, to essentially provide fuel when your blood sugar goes low. And so when you have a crash like that, you're depending upon those battery packs, if you will. And then as you come out of it, your sugar goes high again, and you release a whole bunch of insulin, and oftentimes it's too much insulin, and then you have another crash, and so your adrenals are then stimulated again, and then you come out of it, and then you come back up and have another high release of insulin, and then crash, and then depend upon your adrenals again. That up and down motion of high insulin and then high adrenal dependence, that up and down motion is just like pulling on a rubber band, right? If I have a rubber band and I keep pulling on it and keep pulling on it, eventually it's no longer taut, right? It's no longer able to be a rubber band. It's been overstretched. And this is what happens to our adrenal glands and our thyroid, is that when they're constantly being between extremes, they get overstretched, if you will, and then they start to poop out. They start to become fatigued. Yeah. And in Chinese medicine, this is that kidney, spleen, yang deficiency that I was talking about earlier. Yeah.
So it's interesting that you're mentioning adrenals. I was actually researching a little last night, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I was researching about the cry it out method in babies, how there's research on how damaging it actually is to a baby's adrenal glands if they don't get attended to, and they just cry. And I thought I was like so enthralled by how it actually has a negative effect on the body. And you know, there's all these things in our environment that we can't control. Like, you can't control if your mother did the cry it out method and let you cry yourself to sleep. Or, you know,
Yeah.
nights like that's something that you have no control over. But now you get to control how you fuel your body and how you affect your adrenal glands. And so for me, that is so empowering. Like, there are so many things in this world that we can control, and I just take control of those things, and I don't let go, because again, on the other hand, there are so many things in this world that we cannot control. So I feel like you can be very empowered to take the wheel and take control of those things, so that give your body the best possible fighting chance it has to get those toxins out that we are exposed to every day. You know, get all those, you know, feed your body properly and fuel it properly and give it the proper tools to heal, including herbs and acupuncture, chiropractic, all of those things, so that it can properly digest. So it can properly detoxify. Because even if you do eat a 100% organic diet, you're still exposing yourself to toxins. I mean, those fruits and vegetables were sprayed with something that maybe it's better than what they use in conventional gardening, but unless you're living in a bubble, you're getting exposed to all of it. So it is an important piece for us to practice these preventative measures to give our body a fighting chance. So let's see, are there any more?
Oh, yes, there's one more. There's one more reason that someone could be craving sweets. So first we had, not enough fuel. We had stress. We had thyroid and adrenal fatigue. We also have overgrowths. So what this means is that in Chinese medicine, we call this most oftentimes dampness, some form of dampness. So these are overgrowths of microflora, so oftentimes bacteria or fungus, right? And when we have these overgrowths, these microbes oftentimes will release chemicals that cause us to crave sweets. So many a time when people have a gut problem or a gut flora issue, or they have an overgrowth of candida somewhere, many a times those individuals will crave sweets. So craving sweets can also indicate an imbalance like that as well. Yeah.
And is that something that you can address, Billy, that your acupuncture can help with?
Yes, most definitely. So with the acupuncture, what we can address is many of the things like constipation or digestive cramping or bloating. The acupuncture works great for that. It is tremendously amazing for that, as well as boosting the immune system, right? So it helps if your immune system is up to par when you're battling something. And then in addition to the acupuncture, I always recommend that people use herbs. They're a little bit slower than, say, conventional pharmaceuticals, but they still work really, really well at killing bad bacteria. It's almost, and saying the word bad bacteria is a little bit of a misnomer because bacteria is usually almost oftentimes beneficial if it's in the right place and in the right amounts. Um, so using the herbs oftentimes can help eliminate those overgrowths or help to kill a bacteria that shouldn't be somewhere where it's growing. And in addition to food, right? Food therapy. Food is something that we have to do every day. So it helps to make sense. It makes sense to eat foods that discourage overgrowth of bad bacteria and encourage healthy bacteria.
So,
Yeah, and
like
this is
fruits
like
and
what you were
vegetables?
saying too when you were talking about having control. Yes, exactly. Like fruits and vegetables. And um, chlorophyll. Sorry, I had to dig deep for the chlorophyll. Chlorophyll has actually been shown to inhibit um, bad bacteria. Um, and so if you're not having enough chlorophyll in your diet, many a times you can have a gut overgrowth or allow for a bacterium that is not supposed to be in your gut to be able to grow there. So chlorophyll is so huge when it comes to um, bacterial balance or bacterial flora. A healthy flora, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay. So I know that so in the past I've taken chlorophyll um, just as a supplement and to help detoxify. But
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to go ahead and assume you get chlorophyll in your diet from fruits and vegetables. Is that right?
Yes, yes. So chlorophyll, I want you to think of chlorophyll as being green, right? It's anything green, um, which which includes, leafy greens. It includes broccoli, all of those good green guys. Yeah. And
So I'm going to
strangely
have to
enough, too,
look. I
chlorophyll.
wonder.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh, chlorophyll, strangely, too, the molecule is very similar to hemoglobin, which is the item that transports oxygen in our bloodstream. So many a times in Chinese medicine, when we're addressing anemias, we use foods that are high in chlorophyll as well. Yeah, the total side
Awesome.
note. Sorry.
That's all right. I love it. Um, so I'm going to actually research a little bit more into chlorophyll. So I've done a lot of research on the nutrients of fruits and vegetables and how dramatically that has declined over the past few decades. It's insane. I've read research articles anywhere from 30 to 80% less nutrients in our fruits and vegetables today than there were in the 50s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So I'm wondering if chlorophyll is one of those nutrients that is lacking in a big way in our fruits and vegetables today. Do you know anything about that? If it in
Well, that's a good question. 100%. Um, but I do know that chlorophyll is the molecule or is the substance that is responsible for things to appear green or the substance that makes vegetables green. Um, so as long as the vegetables are still green, I imagine the amount of chlorophyll in there is still fairly good. I don't know about quality though. Perhaps maybe the quality of the chlorophyll can be something that has been impacted in modern days. But that's a good question.
And I
Yeah, you'll have
wonder
to let me know on
too.
that one.
Yeah, I come up with these questions and then I go into these rabbit holes and like, but I wonder too if the impact or um, if the impact of chlorophyll on our bodies is lowered, like let's say if the fruit or vegetable was picked, 2 weeks before it was allowed to ripen, if that impacts the quality of chlorophyll as well. So I will get back to you on that. We'll have to have
Yeah,
another
that's another
interview and
good
talk about
question.
that.
Yeah, and to be continued.
Yes, there we go. Okay, so I guess let's go ahead. Did you have anything more you wanted to talk about sugar?
So I thought it would be a good idea to give people some tips or some tools to help them with sugar cravings, or to help them to reduce sugar intake. How does that sound? I can be very brief. Does that sound good?
That sounds awesome.
So when it comes to sugar, the first thing that I tell people is to, first and foremost, make sure to chew your food. A lot of the food that we eat breaks down into simple sugars that are sweet. So if you chew your food, you allow the food to be broken down into those sugars so it tastes sweet. So first and foremost, your food. The second thing is to try to eat more like what we were talking about, fruits and vegetables for your sweets, because they have the vitamins and minerals. And many a times when the body is craving sweets, they're actually craving the vitamins and minerals that used to come with the sweet, if that makes sense. So being that many of the fruits and vegetables that our body would associate with being sweet have those vitamins and minerals, when you're craving those vitamins and when you're craving the sweet, you're actually wanting the vitamins and minerals. So try to eat more vegetables and fruit. Um, Let me see. Oh, eating chlorophyll. So if you're craving sweets, increase your chlorophyll in your daily diet, right? So eat more leafy greens, the green vegetables. And the last thing that I'll touch on real quick is um, eating more protein and fat. So eating more protein and fat both in your meals and in your snacks. So if you're suddenly hungry, like I can feel myself getting hungry now. Um, Instead of just reaching for something sweet, instead of just eating the apple, eat something that has fat or protein with the apple. So that way you have a lasting, sustaining um, um, fuel source. And so that way you're not having another crash, if you will, with just eating something sweet and then having a crash and craving another something sweet and then having another crash and craving something else sweet. Eat something with protein or fat with your sweet snacks. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I
And
was taking
I
notes.
think I'll. Oh, good. Oh, my goodness.
So I will post some of those in the comments. And so why don't we go ahead and wrap up here. Um, so where can people find you? And do you have a Facebook page? That sort of thing?
I do. I do have a Facebook page. So the Facebook page is Vibrant Pearl Acupuncture and Herbs. Um, So if you type in Vibrant Pearl Acupuncture and Herbs into your little search box on Facebook, I should pop up. It has been a little while since I've written anything on there, but I should be writing something fresh here in a little while. And I generally try to provide some sort of advice on a regular basis on that Facebook site. And the website is www.vibrancepearlacu.com. And yeah, you can go to the website, and there's some information about acupuncture as well as cosmetic acupuncture, which is something that I do as well for facial rejuvenation. So there's some information on that as well. And there's an email connected with the website, so you can also get a hold of me through the email as well. And on the website too, there's my phone number.
Perfect. So,
Question.
yeah, for anyone who has questions for Billy or anything, you can put Billy in the comments and ask your questions and see. And you can do #replay, and Billy will contact you directly. Same goes for me. Anyone that has any questions about food, what we're doing, Juice Plus, the mission that we're on, or how Juice Plus can help with your sugar cravings as well. Go ahead, you can put a Nikki in the comments as well, and I will contact you personally, and we will get any questions that you have answered. And we will most likely have Billy back in the future. So if anyone has any suggestions on topics that they'd like to hear Billy speak about, then let us know about those as well. Billy has a ton of great information, and thank you so much, Billy, for taking time out of your busy day to be with us and fill us up with this awesome information. I really do appreciate it. And I miss seeing your face every week. So it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. Yeah.
Awesome.
I know, it's
Let's see if there was...
not seeing you.
Okay, so it seemed like Manny had a question about treating PCOS. So do you want to address that now, or do you want to address that with her personally? It's up to you.
Sure, I can answer that really quickly now. Yes, so PCOS in Chinese medicine has a variety of root causes, and depending upon the root cause, an acupuncturist and practitioner of Chinese medicine would have different routes that they would take. And the acupuncture helps tremendously for addressing the pain components, as well as like the bloating component and so on and so forth. So it does help tremendously in that regard. And then I would also recommend that some sort of internal medicine is adjoined with the acupuncture, like some herbal therapy, as well as some dietary changes. But yeah, most definitely.
Awesome. Actually, so I forgot to talk about one of my many success stories with acupuncture, but it was actually related to women's problems. So I suffered from very heavy cramps and heavy bleeding ever since I was a young teenager, and I just thought that that's how it was, that I would be, in bed for a week out of a month and just miserable during my cycle. But once I started going to an acupuncturist on a regular basis, completely cleared up. Like I did that in conjunction with a couple of other things, and if you'd like to know what those other things were, get in contact with me. But I've never had another cramp with my period, and ever since.
Oh.
So it's been phenomenal for my women's health, and I actually, speaking with other women that have done acupuncture as well, have heard the same exact thing, that it has had a huge impact on their women's health as well. So thank you for asking that question, Annie. I'm sorry if I totally butchered your name, but thank you for asking that question, and thank you for answering that. I really appreciate that. So do you have anything else you want to wrap up with?
That is a good question. I don't believe so. Yeah. Do you have anything else for me?
Well, I don't think so. I think we'll call it a day. This was an awesome first interview. I look forward to doing more with you. And enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Well,
Billy.
it was a pleasure, Nikki. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Much love.
Alrighty. Much love.
Bye.
Bye.